You are listening to The Lie, Lama podcast. We lie more to ourselves than to anybody else. I'm Gunjan.
I'm Rajiv.
Let me start with the story again. Most of the people, they start their day with social media, maybe Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is. But somehow I never got that privilege to start my day with news or social media or anything. And then back to home after doing all my chores and everything, I saw this post on Facebook, which was given by our very own Rajiv Modest Nanda. Slavery never ended. It just turned economic. Rajiv, I want to ask it in very Amitabh Bachchan style कि क्या चल रहा है आपके दिमाग में या क्या चल रहा था आपके दिमाग में? What made you write that? And can you give us the etymology of the word slavery?
So before I answer that, I want to understand, you started with the day that you think other people start with, but somehow you felt you could not start your day the same way. Why is that?
I was a full-time domestic slave, if I can say that. And I did comment on the post that you wrote that it's any time better than being a domestic slave. And I always thought that I'm independent. But when I realized that I do not have a job or a stable income, I just realized I'm not free. And that's where I say that, I was a domestic slave for quite some time.
Yeah, so the sentiment typically shared by mostly women who are quote unquote housewives, but also these days, like men who are house husbands, or anybody who is actually dependent on somebody else for financial support. Well, two words you used. One is independent and one is free.
They're two entirely different meaning, if I can say that.
Now, to answer your question, when I say slavery never ended in just on economic, this has been my quote for more than, I remember when I said this. This was when I was still in India working with HCL, somewhere between 1984 to 1989. So somewhere in those 4 years, I made this statement. And the context was that I wanted maybe a day or two off because of some reasons, I forget, what was it, but I really wanted a couple of days off. And, typically in Asian countries, actually in India, I've seen, very prevalent that somehow, the HR or boss or whatever, they think that taking a day off is sin or, is not acceptable. It has changed over time, but, but most of the time people feel guilty about taking a day off from work. And that's when I thought that I'm just an economic slave. The reason I want to go to the office is not because I want to go today, but just because I have to make sure I don't get kicked out or fired or laid off, or my boss or my peers, whatever, so the social construct that we have is not to promote freedom. Independence, again, there's a boundary to independence, and we can talk more about it. But let's go back to, the word that you use is interesting, domestic slave. So let's peel that onion today.
So Rajiv, yes, I was working either, I moved places. I was born and brought up in Dehradun, then I was in Nagpur, Calcutta, then I was in the US, and I was always financially independent. In fact, when I got my first job, I went to my dad and I said that, Dad, I got a job, but it doesn't mean I'll not take money from you. I've got a job. My expenses have gone exponentially high because now I need good clothing. I need to go by car, and petrol has ever been on all-time high. So please don't think that, I'll not come to you for money. I'll still come to you for money. So yeah, that was like
economic slavery has started.
Economic slavery started or not, but that was the time I was in love with what I was doing. I was absolutely proud of myself. I could sleep peacefully, and I've been working all my life until I reached US. And Again, it's little difficult because here in India, life
The
is
visa, yeah, and also the visa things and all that. Yeah.
work permit and all is something different. But again, in India, life is super convenient, super convenient. I mean, everything is at back of your hand. You need any kind of help. And now in 2023, everything can be called via app. But even when I moved to US, my life was very convenient. And when I moved to US, all of a sudden, everything came to me. Everything came to me. And I was like in a form of slavery, but just did not know what to do about it, or just did not had
It's like the golden handcuffs.
call it mithi jail.
But the question is that why would you feel that you are a domestic slave? And this, I can understand. You see, the reason that I use those words, that economic slavery, is because for whatever reasons, worldwide societies, we assign too much of importance to money. You are like, judged by whether you make money or not make money, how much you make money. So you are assumed to be not worth being a person for whatever you are, just because you are not making money. On the other hand, society also pays a lot of emphasis on raising good kids, having good families, cultural values, and all that. Money does not give you that. You may have $1 billion in your account, and you can be an idiot. You can see that, and I wrote an article around this, which actually, I remember in Data Questions were published one of the, or Silicon India, I don't remember which one. And there was a lot of flack I got around it that, I said that, if you look at India, there was the discussion around in those, this is 97 or around somewhere 99 time frame. And my debate was that the, country like India cannot become a leader in technology because our society does not teach you how to think freely. Freedom of thought is extremely important. And coming back to economic slavery and all that is exactly that. If you're a housewife, you are foundation of society.
Couldn't agree more, Rajiv. When I was working, when I was financially independent, okay, I never thought that I have to buy something from sale. It's a new product. I'll buy it, right? However, when I went to US, first question is, why do I need this? Do I really need this? Why do I have to buy it at full price? Why can't I wait for sale? Why can't I wait for clearance? So that was the mindset I was getting into, and I just never realized that what have I turned myself into. Later on, today, again, I feel that, economy of at least India is dependent on girls. It's just because of us. Economy is
worldwide economy.
yes, yes,
like
because
just
we buy.
I don't know. Yeah, I think just today or yesterday there was a news article that if women are taught to be proud of themselves the way they are, the cosmetic and the beauty industry will collapse overnight. This goes back to what I was saying, the statement I had that slavery never ended. So now let me, explain that word. See, slavery never ended, and it turned economic was a metaphor of that one, we always tie our happiness, our being, to things that are either bought by money or related to money.
It will cost me money. If I want to eat pizza or cake, or if I want to buy myself flowers, it will cost me money.
Correct?
And again, saying that money does not matter is partially correct, partially incorrect. But yes, you need to.
No. The statement is slavery never ended, it turned economic. The question is, do you want to be the slave or do you want to be the master of money? It's the outlook and how you treat money and how you actually treat your job. We, like my wife, my wife was also a teacher, but when my younger daughter was born, we had a discussion around it, and we calculated and we saw that, hey, raising a family is a full-time job.
Absolutely.
Not only that, the problem is that if you want to raise a good family, the values have to come from parents. You cannot hand your children to maids or other help and then expect that the children will have the same values that you have, because the children are spending time more within, up here it is daycare. So we made a very conscious decision at that time. Now my wife went through similar kind of this thing, and I observed that in spite of like she having full freedom on the money matters, in spite of having full access to all the money that she has full authority in that. But still, why does my wife feel or felt and domestic slave or economic slave that you mentioned? So my whole thought process evolved from when I made that statement, I think 35, 40 years ago, to even today. The statement I still believe is correct.
Okay, Rajiv, I want to pause here. And again, coming back to the point where it was a mutual decision that it takes a village to raise a kid. It is a joint venture. Somehow, silently, everything comes on wife. Be it cooking, cleaning, taking to the classes. Very simple for men to say, oh, I need to attend this meeting. Oh, I need to do that. I need to do. So when it's a mutual decision that both of us will do it, why is it just one person who has to take all the responsibility? And that was something which bothered me, that it was something we both decided, right? It's our house. Okay, it's not a small thing. And he was the only bread earner. It's not a small thing. His job is also important. His promotion is important. Everything is important. You need to make time. You need to take out time. Just because we mutually decided doesn't mean that
correct. No,
I'm on the shoulder of wife.
110%. That is the question that I asked myself, and I still ask. Even today, if there is a threat to the job, when I was with Intel for like 20 years, and I remember that every time, the big companies go through these layoffs and all that churn, there would always be that sinking feeling in your heart, how do I escape it? And that goes back to my statement, slavery never ended, because mentally, my own identity is tied to the money I make. And, if you remember the first poem of my book, I have. So it explores on same lines, similar lines.
And even in today's podcast, the points to ponder is about the finances, the economics, and
everything.
That depends on money. I just want to quickly give a story here, Raji, that if you've heard the story of a dog and a donkey, that there was a thief, and donkey tried to wake up the dog. He said, no, I don't want to. And then donkey was screaming, and then thief ran away, and he got spanked by his
it was not his duty to.
Yeah, we all know that story. And then the millennial version is that this master was from IIMs, and he thought that no, if he has made noise, there must be a reason. And then he figured out that actually there was a thief, and actually someone came in. So he rewarded the donkey. And then when dog realized that donkey is doing his job, he just said he was sitting back and relaxing. And the story unfolds like that. Donkey, daytime he was doing his job, nighttime he was doing dog job. And I say this is so relatable. In name of gender equality, hum gadhe ban chuke hain. We are the one managing house. We are the one managing outside the house. Whatever was I have seen my dad doing everything outside chores. My grandfather, my dad, my uncle, outside house, they were doing everything. And mom, my aunt, I'm from a joint family. They were doing everything which was inside the house. Whatever it is, even if they have to give them constant reminder every day that refined is getting over, ghee is getting over, everything. Every day they are giving reminder, and they might take a week or 10 days to bring it because they might forget. But duties were very much defined. Now duties are defined, but everything is one's responsibility. And I say this, that in the name of gender equality, we have done a big harm to ourselves, and it's never too late.
I would not take that harsh judgment on it, because see, the transformation of society or any even human beings, takes time. I personally have seen, between, like what you said, what when we grew up versus what I see the children of today, the acceptance of it's not like one person takes the entire burden. It the amalgamation of duties and joint responsibilities coming into nuclear families. So it will happen, but I see what happens is that uh, in any given society, there will be X%, 5 to 7% of human beings or people in that society that will take the lead. And then there will be the masses, that will follow when the herd gets the critical mass. And then there'll be laggards that, the last 10-15% who will refuse to change. That's true for a company, society, or even us individually. There are some habits that I have which I may not ever change, or my thought process, that some thoughts that, my thinking is so rigid that, it will not change. I would not be harsh on that. I understand what you're saying. And I also understand that, yes, there is, and this is true worldwide, not just India, even in the US. I know, folks in Israel, Europe, all over the place. So very, very similar story across all the societies.
And
But
first,
but my question goes back. Why do we feel that we have to be the slave? Whether it is at home, in corporate, of money. No, here's a very interesting thing. Let me, put it this way. You buy a car today, and you will be, brand new car. You'll be driving so cautiously on the road, so that there is not even a scratch on that. You have suddenly turned yourself a slave of that car. You buy the car assuming that that will be bringing you happiness, but it has brought you additional slavery. You get your raise, and you suddenly, let's say you suddenly win the lottery, and now suddenly you have, instead of whatever blank bank account, to having 10 crore in the bank account. Now you'll be guarding it like anything, because now you have become slave to that money that you got.
yeah, how to multiply that money, how to keep it safe, how to invest it in a right
So that
manner.
nobody cheats on
That is,
you. So that's
yeah,
10,000 things, right?
yes.
So my question to myself at that time was exactly that. And the statement, I still keep pondering on it, because this, it actually unfolds a lot of things about yourself. Today, you carry your cell phone with you. Think about, are you the slave of phone, or is the phone slave of you?
Absolutely. I parked my car. I forgot my phone. As soon as I reached up, I was like,
And
oh,
you have a heart
I
attack.
forgot my phone. I forgot my phone. Like,
So what that means is, that tells you that as a human being, we like slavery. We think that we want to be free, but no, we like slavery. Whether it is of another person, you're in love with somebody, and then you fall, slave to that person's like emotions or whatever, or about things. You buy things for your happiness, and suddenly you become a slave of those things. That's a long version of answer to the question you
and
asked.
I would like to bring this awesome book written by Richard Bach, um, Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
JLS, yeah.
He was a sailor, and he was by himself. Seasickness. We really don't know what goes on in the head. And he wrote this book, and one quote that stays.
He was a pilot. Actually, he was a pilot.
Okay.
Richard Bach was a pilot.
Okay.
And yeah, so he was an Air Force pilot, but But yeah, that was, I think, maybe his first book, or maybe one
Yes.
of the first one that became a super hit.
Yes.
Very that I think I read that book. That was one of the transformational book for me. That and his second book called Illusions.
Illusions. Yes.
Yeah.
So one thing that stayed with me that was written in the book was that most difficult thing on earth is to convince a bird that it is free. I just want to again come back to the point that what holds us to do a job. Again, Rajiv, you're from a if I talk about the background, you're from a very business class family, and they have made good amount of money. Still, you wanted to get into the corporate, and coming here, like in the corporate, and realizing, do you ever feel that if I was doing my own business, I would have been my own boss, and or is it just a
No,
myth? And
are
because
you saying
again,
that
you'll be doing,
are you saying the businessmen are not economic slaves? They are worse economic
they
slaves.
are worse economic slaves. That's
Yeah,
true.
because today their business flops, their identity finish. See, the fundamental thing that I wanted to explore, or actually convey through that statement I made, was that our societies, and this is worldwide, not just one versus the other. You talk about successes. Today, let's say I create this we are creating this podcast. Will somebody seek out this podcast?
We have to
We
market.
will have to market it and sell it, right?
Right.
Think about Sundar Pichai or Bill Gates. They may make exactly the same statement that I or you are making, but there'll be million followers, retweeting, or creating that portions of that statement. But what's the difference in the statement? It's exactly the same statement. But why does society put more prestige and of the person on the money that has been made, or the success that the person has gotten, versus on the statement itself? So my philosophically, that was the thing that I was pondering upon, and that I still ponder upon. This is why if you are connected on my WhatsApp, you'll see that that statement is my status. It has been for I used to have that as a printout in my cubicle since the day I remember that it came to me. It has been part of my life, because I still don't have the right answer. I still continue to explore on it. I still continue to think about it.
Yeah, and by saying getting out of slavery, we really don't want to. Again, I want to bring this book by Robin Sharma, A Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, and how he
Yeah.
wanted to explore himself.
Yeah.
Here, I want to quote
No,
Shadow.
the problem is that he became a monk after sold the Ferrari. So the question is, why Ferrari?
By Ferrari. And here, this is
Right?
where I want to quote Shahrukh, that he said that Gurbat mein philosophy nahi hoti. You need to be rich to be philosopher. It is very
Yes.
easy to say money
Yeah. And
doesn't matter
I
when you
think
have
even my
so much of money in your bank account. So
yes.
yes, money is
Yes. So
important.
I explore the same sentiment in the my story, The Taxi Ride, in my book Conversations. The philosophy cannot be, on empty stomach.
Good point to ponder and look upon, Rajiv. We really want our listeners to tell us the time or the moment where they felt that they were economic slave or they were domestic slave, and
Yeah.
do we come
Or
out
what's their opinion on this?
what
Because this is something that like we discussed that it's been a difference of opinion. Whether do you really feel that this is good or bad, or is it something that we should be judgmentable about,
or
or
this
it
is
is something part of life? You just deal with live with it.
right. Rajiv, wrap up point from your end, and we are coming to the end of the show, and wrap up point from
Yeah,
your end, and then
yeah,
wrap up the
yeah.
show.
We should not drag it on. So I would like the statement you made from JLS. So there's another quote that really caught my attention. Read it many years ago. Uh, this is by somebody, some author called Alejandro. The birds born in a cage think flying is an illness. So I, as part of my creatives, when I was creating creatives for my book Conversations, I use that, and then I ask the question: the truth may set you free, but will it give you wings? So I would leave, the audience with this thought, and would like to hear about, get some feedback, and because these are the lies that we have to, address and live self-actualized and
Right.
self-realized life.
And that's the wrap for today's episode. All I want to say is that rat race doesn't have to define your happiness. Money is important. Absolutely, it is important. However, it should not be the sole factor in determining your satisfaction. And by finding meaning and purpose in what we can do, or the sense of achievement that we get from what we've been doing, is it really cannot be bought by money. In the end, I just want to quote this from Kefi Azmi: इंसान की ख्वाहिशों की कोई इंतहा नहीं, 2 गज जमीन भी चाहिए 2 गज कफन के बाद. That's all for this day. Thank you so much for listening.